Before we begin, if you're enjoying these stories from the field, please subscribe and hit that like button. And I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. Now, let's get into this story about something we found in the Olympic National Forest that still haunts me. My name is David Chadwick, and I have been working with the Olympic National Park Search and Rescue Team for over 12 years. I've searched for people who were missing for weeks, found hikers who went missing just hours before dying of hypothermia, retrieved bodies from crevasses. I've had some very action-packed times and thought I'd seen everything these mountains had to offer. If I have to start from the beginning, it all began one October morning in 2015. We received a report that a 23-year-old woman named Ashley Morrison from Seattle had gone missing. 3 days earlier, she had set out on a day hike on the Enchanted Valley Trail and never returned. The emergency worker still hadn't heard from her, and her car was still at the start of the trail. To make matters worse, a severe storm was approaching. Standard search and rescue operation. Except it wasn't. I was team leader for the initial search, working with 5 other SAR volunteers. We started at first light, spreading out in a standard grid pattern from her last known location. The Enchanted Valley Trail is popular, well-maintained, and even in October, you usually see other hikers. But that morning, the forest felt different. Too quiet. My teammate Jake noticed it first. "Dave, you hear that?" "Hear what?" "Exactly. No birds, no squirrels, nothing." He was right. The usual forest sounds were absent, replaced by an oppressive silence that made every footstep seem too loud. I'd experienced this before, usually right before a major storm, when animals seek shelter. But the sky was clear, the barometer steady. We continued hiking, calling Ashley's name every few minutes, checking for any signs of passage. 2 hours in, about 3 miles from the trailhead, my radio crackled. "Team leader, this is Martinez. I've got something weird here." Martinez was working the western grid, about half a mile from my position. I radioed the team to converge on his location. When we arrived, Martinez was standing about 30 feet off the trail, staring at something in a small clearing. As I approached, I saw what had stopped him. It was a staircase, not attached to anything, not leading anywhere. Just a freestanding wooden staircase in the middle of the forest, maybe 8 steps high, perfectly preserved despite being surrounded by moss-covered trees and undergrowth. "What the hell?" Jake said, voicing what we were all thinking. The staircase was old-fashioned, the kind you'd see in an early 1900s house. Dark wood, ornate banister, each step precisely measured and level. But there was no structure around it, no foundation, no signs of a building having ever been there. Just stairs, standing in a clearing, leading to nothing. "Could be from an old homestead," I suggested, though even as I said it, something felt wrong. The stairs were too well preserved. No rot, no weather damage, no moss growing on them despite the damp Pacific Northwest climate. "Dave," Martinez said quietly, "I don't think we should go near it." "It's just stairs, Martinez." "Yeah, but why are they here? And why do they look brand new?" He had a point. I pulled out my GPS and marked the location, took several photos, then made the decision to continue our primary mission. Ashley Morrison was out here somewhere, possibly injured, possibly dying. A weird staircase was a curiosity, but not our priority. We searched for another 6 hours, covering 12 square miles of terrain. As the sun started to set, we found her. Ashley was sitting at the base of a Douglas fir tree about 2 miles from where we'd found the staircase. She was alive, conscious, and completely unharmed. No injuries, no signs of exposure, no dehydration despite being missing for 3 days. "Ashley, I'm Dave with Search and Rescue. Are you hurt?" She looked up at me with clear, focused eyes. No, I'm fine. You've been missing for 3 days. Your family's been worried sick. What happened? I got lost. But I'm fine now. Something about her tone was off, too calm, too collected. People who'd been lost in the wilderness for 3 days didn't sound like they'd just come back from a casual walk. Did you have any food or water with you? No. But you're not hungry? Not thirsty? I'm fine. We got her back to the trailhead, where paramedics checked her vitals. Everything was normal. Better than normal, actually. Her core temperature was perfect. Her hydration levels were good, and she showed no signs of the stress her body should have experienced. The paramedics were baffled. It's like she wasn't out here at all, one of them told me. Ashley's parents arrived, tearful and grateful. I watched as they embraced their daughter, but I noticed something strange. Ashley didn't really react. She accepted their hugs, said the right words, but there was a distance in her eyes, like she was watching the scene from far away. Before they left, I tried one more time. Ashley, can you tell me anything about where you were? What you did for 3 days? She looked directly at me, and for just a moment, something flickered in her expression. Fear? Recognition? I don't remember, she said. I was just somewhere else. That should have been the end of it. Case closed, successful rescue, everyone goes home. But 3 things kept bothering me. First, Ashley's strange behavior and impossible physical condition. Second, that staircase. It shouldn't have been there, and it definitely shouldn't have looked brand new. Third, something she'd said as the paramedics loaded her into the ambulance. She'd grabbed my arm and whispered, "Don't go up the stairs. Whatever you do, don't go up them." I hadn't mentioned the stairs to her. Nobody had. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the staircase, about Ashley's warning, about the unnatural silence in that part of the forest. Finally, around 2 a.m., I got out of bed and pulled up the photos I'd taken. The staircase looked even stranger in the photographs. In one shot, where I'd deliberately included surrounding trees for scale, the perspective seemed wrong. The stairs looked too sharp, too defined, like they'd been photoshopped into the image rather than being a natural part of the scene. I spent the next hour searching online for any information about staircases in national forests. What I found made my skin crawl. There were dozens of reports, hundreds maybe, from parks all across the country but concentrated in the Pacific Northwest. Staircases appearing in random locations, always far from trails, always in perfect condition, and always connected to strange disappearances or people being found in impossible condition. One report from a retired park ranger in Oregon described finding a hiker who'd been missing for a week. The hiker was found 50 miles from where he'd disappeared, with no memory of the intervening time and no explanation for how he'd traveled so far. Another report from Washington State detailed a woman found standing on top of a staircase, speaking fluent Latin despite never having studied the language. When she came down, she couldn't remember a word of it. The reports went on and on. Some from credible sources, some from conspiracy websites, but all describing the same basic phenomenon: staircases in the woods, and people who encountered them coming back wrong. I forwarded some of the reports to Jake and Martinez asking if they'd seen anything like this before. Jake responded immediately, despite the early hour. "Dave, I've been with SAR for 8 years. I've seen 3 of those staircases. Each time, we found the missing person within 24 hours, and each time, something was off about them. One guy we found had aged 20 years in 3 days. Another woman spoke backwards for a week after we found her. I don't know what those stairs are, but we're not supposed to touch them. That's not in any official manual, but it's something the old-timers tell us. We see stairs, we mark them, we report them, and we stay the hell away. The next morning, I filed my report with the Park Service, including the photos of the staircase and its GPS coordinates. I expected questions, maybe some skepticism, but what I got was silence. No follow-up, no requests for additional information, just an email acknowledging receipt of my report. That bothered me more than anything. It felt like they'd been expecting this, like staircases in the woods were just another box to check on the incident report. 2 weeks later, we got another call. Missing hiker, same general area, man in his 40s named Robert Chadwick, no relation to me. He'd been hiking alone, hadn't checked in with his wife, and now his phone was going straight to voicemail. I led the search team again, and we spread out in a familiar pattern. 3 hours in, I found another staircase. Different location, maybe 5 miles from the first one, but identical construction. Same dark wood, same ornate banister, same impossibly perfect condition. I stood there staring at it, remembering Ashley's warning, remembering Jake's message about staying away. I marked it on my GPS and moved on. We found Robert Chadwick 6 hours later. He was sitting on the ground, back against a tree, eyes wide open but not seeing. When I approached, he didn't respond to my voice, didn't react to my presence. It was like he was in a trance. "Robert, can you hear me?" Nothing. His eyes were focused on something in the distance, something I couldn't see. I checked his pulse. Normal, breathing normal, but he wouldn't respond to any external stimuli. It was like his mind had gone somewhere else and hadn't come back. We got him out of the woods and to the hospital. The doctors ran every test they could think of. Brain function was normal, no drugs in his system, no head injury. By all medical standards, Robert Chadwick was fine. Except he wasn't. He remained in that trance state for 3 days before he suddenly snapped out of it. One moment catatonic, the next fully conscious, with no memory of the missing time. But here's the thing that made my blood run cold. Robert didn't remember going hiking. He remembered being at work, in his office in Seattle, right up until the moment he woke up in the hospital. As far as his memory was concerned, no time had passed at all. I visited him in the hospital before he was discharged. "Mr. Chadwick, I'm Dave with Search and Rescue. We found you in the woods 2 days ago." "That's impossible." "I was at work. Your wife reported you missing. You'd gone hiking." He looked genuinely confused. "I don't hike. I have a knee injury. I haven't been on a trail in 5 years." I showed him photos of his car at the trailhead. Photos of him being carried out of the woods on a stretcher. He stared at them like they were pictures of a stranger. "I don't understand. How is this possible?" I didn't have an answer for him, but I had a theory, one that scared me more than anything I'd encountered in 12 years of search and rescue. The staircases were doing something to people. Not just physical displacement, but mental displacement, temporal displacement. They were pulling people out of their lives, out of time itself, and putting them back wrong. And there were more of them, many more. Over the next 3 months, my team found 6 more staircases in Olympic National Forest. 6 different locations, all in remote areas, all identical in construction. And every time we found one, within 24 hours, we'd find a missing person nearby, always in strange condition, always with memory problems or temporal displacement. The pattern was undeniable. The stairs were connected to the disappearances, but nobody in the Park Service would talk about it officially. They'd take our reports, file them away, and that was it. Until the day I found the staircase that was different from all the others. It was late March 2016, 5 months after Ashley Morrison's rescue. We were searching for a group of 3 hikers, college students who'd gone off trail and gotten lost. I was working the northern grid when I spotted it. A staircase, same construction as the others, but this one had something on it. something that made me stop cold. There was someone standing at the top of the stairs. A woman, maybe 30 years old, wearing clothes that looked decades out of date. She was just standing there perfectly still, facing away from me. "Ma'am, are you okay?" She didn't respond, didn't move. I took a step closer. "Ma'am, I'm with search and rescue. Do you need help?" Still nothing. She just stood there, motionless, at the top of stairs that led nowhere. Every instinct I had screamed at me to walk away, to radio for backup, to do anything except approach that staircase. But I was a search and rescue professional. Helping people was my job. I took another step forward. The woman turned around. Her face was wrong. Not deformed, not obviously inhuman, but wrong in a way I couldn't articulate. The proportions were slightly off, the movements too smooth, the expression too neutral. "Hello, David," she said in a voice that sounded like it came from everywhere and nowhere. She knew my name. I'd never seen her before in my life. "Do you know who I am?" I asked, my hand moving to my radio. "I know everyone who finds the stairs." "You found 9 now. 3 more and you'll understand." Understand what? What the stairs are for. What we're doing here. Why some people come back wrong. My blood ran cold. "Who's we?" She smiled, and it was the most inhuman expression I'd ever seen. "We're the ones who were here first. Long before your park service. Long before your cities. We've always been here, in the places between. The stairs are our doors, and sometimes when people walk through our doors we study them, learn from them, send them back. Improved, the missing people. You took them, borrowed them. Most go back, most." The smile widened. "Some we keep, the interesting ones. The ones who see us clearly." I should have run, should have called for backup, should have done anything except what I did next. But I needed to know. "What are you?" "We don't have a name in your language. We're the silence in the forest. The space between trees. The reason people feel watched when they're alone in the woods. We're what happens when you build your trails through our places and pretend you own them." She descended 1 step. I backed up instinctively. "Don't be afraid, David. You're one of the interesting ones. That's why you keep finding our doors. That's why we let you see them. Most people walk right past, never notice them at all, but you see clearly. I don't want to see them. I want them gone. They can't be gone. They've always been here. But David, you have a choice. You can keep looking for them, keep tracking them, keep wondering what they mean. Or you can go up one, just once, see what's at the top, learn what we are, what we want, and then you'll understand why some people don't come back." Another step down, I backed up further. "What happens if I go up?" "You'll see. You'll understand, and you'll have to choose whether to come back down. And if I don't choose to go up? Then you'll spend the rest of your life finding our doors and never knowing what's beyond them. You'll rescue people who've been changed and never understand how. You'll watch this forest and know that something's wrong but never be able to fix it." One more step. "Is that what you want?" I didn't answer, couldn't answer. She reached the bottom step and stood there perfectly still again. 12 doors, David. When you find 12, come back to this one. We'll be waiting." Then she walked backwards up the stairs, moving in a way that defied physics, and vanished at the top. I stood there for a long time, staring at those stairs, feeling the weight of her words. 12 staircases. I'd found 9. 3 more, and something would happen. Something that would force me to make a choice. I marked the location on my GPS, took my photos, and reported it just like all the others. But this time I didn't tell anyone about the woman. didn't mention the conversation. Some things I was learning were better kept quiet. The 3 college students were found 2 hours later, all together, all claiming they'd only been lost for a few hours despite being missing for 2 days. They couldn't explain where they'd been or what they'd done. They just knew they were somewhere else, and then they weren't. 9 staircases found. 3 more to go. And I knew, with absolute certainty, that I would find them, because that's what they wanted. That's what they'd been leading me toward since the very first one. The question was, what happened when I found number 12? And would I be brave enough or foolish enough to climb those stairs and find out? I didn't tell anyone about the woman on the stairs. How could I? Hey guys, I talked to an interdimensional entity that lives in a forest staircase. Wasn't exactly standard SAR protocol, but I also couldn't ignore what was happening. 9 staircases found in 6 months, each one connected to missing persons cases, each one leading to people being found in impossible conditions, and now some kind of countdown. 3 more stairs to find before, what? Before I had to make some kind of choice? I started keeping detailed records, not in official reports, but in a private journal. Every staircase location, every missing person found nearby, every strange detail about their recovery. Patterns emerged that I couldn't see before. The staircases appeared in clusters. 5 of them within a 3-mile radius of each other in the western quadrant of the park. 3 in the northern region. 1 lone staircase in the southern area, the one where I'd met the woman. People found near the western cluster had memory loss but were otherwise unharmed. Those found near the northern cluster showed signs of temporal displacement, claiming different amounts of time had passed than actually had. The one person found near the southern staircase, Ashley Morrison, had been different. She'd been changed in a way I couldn't quite define. I decided to follow up with her. I found her contact information in the case files and called. Her mother answered, and the conversation that followed disturbed me more than I wanted to admit. "I'm sorry, Mr. Chadwick, but Ashley doesn't remember her time in the forest. The doctors said it was trauma, that her mind blocked it out. I understand, but I was hoping I could talk to her about, she's not the same." Her mother's voice cracked. "She came home safe, we were grateful, but she's not the same. She sits in her room for hours, staring at nothing. She says she can hear them talking. Them? She won't say who, just them. And sometimes, late at night, I hear her laughing. But it's not her laugh. It's wrong, somehow." A pause. "Mr. Chadwick, what did you find out there?" "What happened to my daughter?" I didn't have an answer. We said goodbye, and I sat there with my phone in my hand, feeling a weight settling on my chest. The staircases weren't just displacing people or erasing memories, they were changing them. And Ashley Morrison, found near the southern staircase where I'd met the woman, had been changed more fundamentally than the others. 2 weeks later, in early April, we got another call. An experienced hiker named Michael Torres had activated his emergency beacon in the southeastern section of the park. When we reached his location, we found him standing next to a staircase. Number 10. Michael was conscious and seemed physically fine, but his eyes were wide with fear. "Don't let me go up," he said as we approached. "Please, don't let me go up. It's calling me." "You're safe now. Nobody's making you go anywhere." "You don't understand. It wants me to climb it. I can feel it pulling me. Like gravity, but wrong. Like the stairs are down and I'm falling up. I'd never heard anyone describe it like that before. The pull, the compulsion to climb." "How long have you been here?" "I don't know. I was hiking, saw the stairs, and I knew I shouldn't go near them. but I couldn't help it. I started walking toward them. Took me an hour to think clearly enough to hit my beacon. We got Michael out of there, but as we left, I looked back at the staircase. Just for a moment, I felt what he'd described. A pull, a sense that climbing those stairs was the most natural thing in the world, that at the top was something I needed to see. I forced myself to look away and keep walking. 10 staircases, 2 more to go. That night, I couldn't sleep. The woman's words kept echoing in my mind. When you find 12, come back to this one. We'll be waiting. What happened at 12? Was it just me, or would something happen to the entire forest? Were the staircases some kind of countdown to a larger event? I needed to talk to someone who might have answers, someone who'd been with Park SAR longer than anyone else. Gregor Washington, a 72-year-old retiree who'd spent 40 years in search and rescue before a knee injury forced him to stop. I drove to his cabin in Port Angeles the next morning. Gregor lived alone, surrounded by photos from decades of rescues, maps of the Olympic Peninsula covering his walls. "Dave Chadwick," he said when he answered the door. "Haven't seen you in a year. What brings you out here?" "The staircases. I need to know what you know about them." His expression changed immediately. "Come in, we need to talk." Inside, Gregor poured us both coffee and sat down heavily. "I was wondering when you'd start asking questions. You've found 9 of them now, according to the reports. 10, as of yesterday. How do you know about them?" "I found my first staircase in 1978. Been tracking them ever since, unofficially. The Park Service knows about them, but there's an understanding. We don't talk about it publicly. Bad for tourism, worse for our credibility." "How many are there?" "In Olympic National Forest? I've documented 37 different locations over 40 years. But they move." "They what?" "The staircases appear and disappear. The one you find today might not be there next week. A new one might appear somewhere else. They're not fixed structures, they're something else." I told him about the woman I'd met, about her warning about 12 staircases. Gregor listened without interrupting, his face growing graver. 12, he said finally. "That's new. In all my years, I've never heard of anyone reaching 12. Most SAR people find 2, maybe 3 in their career. You found 10 in 6 months. David, they're showing themselves to you specifically." "That's not random. Why me?" "I don't know. But I know what happens to people who get too close to the stairs. I've seen it. Good people, experienced SAR, they find too many staircases and they start changing. Start hearing things, seeing things. Some of them quit, move away. Others?" He paused. "Others go up the stairs. And they don't come back." "How many?" 7 that I know of. 7 SAR workers over 40 years who found stairs, became obsessed and eventually climbed one. None of them came back down. The number hit me like a physical blow. 7 people, gone. Not lost in the woods through accident or injury, but willingly climbing staircases that led nowhere. "What do you think is at the top?" I asked. Gregor stood up and walked to his wall of maps. He pointed to dozens of red marks scattered across the Olympic Peninsula. "These are all the locations where I've documented staircases." "Notice anything?" I studied the map. The marks weren't random. They formed a pattern, a rough circle with a center point deep in the heart of the park, an area so remote that even experienced hikers rarely went there. "They're surrounding something," I said. "Or protecting something. Or marking something, I don't know which. But David, if they're counting down to 12, if they're showing you a specific path, then you're being led somewhere, to that center point, and when you get there, you're going to have to make a choice. The woman said I'd have to decide whether to come back down. Then don't go up. Find your 12th staircase, mark it like all the others, and walk away. Whatever's at the top of those stairs, whatever they want from you, it's not worth it. I wanted to believe him, wanted to think I could just walk away. But something told me it wasn't going to be that simple. I found the 11th staircase 3 days later. We weren't even on a rescue call. I was doing a routine trail assessment in the northeast section when I saw it. This one was different from the others. It was bigger, wider, and instead of dark wood, it was made of stone. Old stone, covered in moss and lichen, like it had been there for centuries. But like all the others, it was impossibly well preserved. No cracks, no erosion, just ancient stone steps leading up to nothing. I approached slowly, every nerve on alert. No pull this time, no compulsion to climb. Just a deep sense of wrongness, like the air around the staircase was thicker, harder to breathe. There were markings on the stone. Not modern graffiti, but carved symbols that looked Native American but weren't any tribal pattern I recognized. They covered every step, spiraling upward in a pattern that hurt to look at too long. I took my photos, marked my GPS, and backed away. 11 staircases found. One more to go. That night, I dreamed about the stairs. I was standing at the bottom of the stone staircase, and the woman was at the top, beckoning me. One more, David. Just one more, and you'll understand everything. I started climbing. Each step felt like walking through water, resistance building with every movement. The symbols on the stone glowed as I passed them, and I realized they were names. Hundreds of names, carved in dozens of languages spanning what looked like centuries. Names of people who'd gone up the stairs, people who'd made the choice. I woke up gasping, my sheets soaked with sweat. The next morning, I called in sick for the first time in my career. I couldn't go back to the forest. Not yet. Not until I decided what I was going to do when I found number 12. I spent the day researching, pulling up every scrap of information I could find about staircases in national parks. The deeper I dug, the more I found. Ranger forums with cryptic references to the stairs, deleted blog posts from hikers who'd seen them, even a classified Forest Service memo from 1992 that had been leaked, instructing rangers to document but not investigate any freestanding staircases found in wilderness areas. They knew. The entire Park Service knew something was out there, something connected to these stairs, and they'd decided the best policy was to ignore it. By evening, I'd made my decision. I would find the 12th staircase. I had to, because the pattern was clear. If I didn't find it, someone else would. Some other SAR worker, some hiker, someone who wasn't prepared, who didn't understand what they were dealing with. But I wouldn't climb it. I'd mark it, document it, and then I'd do what Gregor suggested. Walk away. Let someone else figure out what the stairs were, what they wanted. I'd done my part. The call came at 2 a.m. A group of 4 hikers, overdue on a backcountry permit. Last known location was deep in the heart of the forest, in that area Gregor had pointed to on his map, the center of the circle. "Dave, we need you on this one," Jake said over the phone. "Location's remote, terrain's rough. Teams assembling at dawn. I knew before he even gave me the coordinates. This was it. This was where I'd find the 12th staircase. I'll be there," I said. We went in at first light, 6 SAR members including me, Jake, and Martinez. The hike was brutal. 4 hours of steep terrain, thick brush, and streams that didn't appear on any map. But we made good time, and by mid-morning, we'd reached the search area. The hikers were found quickly, all 4 of them sitting together in a clearing, completely unharmed. They had no idea they'd been missing for 2 days. As far as they knew, they'd only sat down to rest 20 minutes ago. Standard temporal displacement. We'd seen it before. But as we were getting them ready for the hike out, I saw it at the far end of the clearing, partially hidden by massive old-growth trees, the 12th staircase. This one was different from all the others. It was made of wood, like most of them, but it was massive. 20 feet wide, climbing 30 or 40 steps high, ornate carvings covering every surface. And at the very top, where it should have just ended in open air, there was something. A shimmer like heat haze, distorting the space above the final step. "Dave?" Martinez's voice sounded distant. "You see that?" "Yeah, I see it." Jake walked up beside us. 12, he said, quietly. "You found 12. I told them about my theory, about the woman's warning. They both knew what this meant." "So what do you do now?" Jake asked. I stared at that staircase, at the shimmer at the top, at the impossible thing that had been in these woods longer than anyone knew, and I felt the pull again, stronger than before. Not just gravity, but something deeper, a certainty that at the top of those stairs was an answer to every question I'd ever had. "I don't know," I admitted. The woman appeared then, stepping out from behind the staircase like she'd been waiting. Same outdated clothes, same wrong face. She looked directly at me. "Hello again, David. You found all 12. Well done." "I'm not going up," I said. "No? You came all this way, found all our doors, led your team here to the heart of our place, and now you'll just walk away? That's exactly what I'm going to do." She smiled. "No, you're not. Because I'm going to show you something. Something that will change your mind." She gestured, and the shimmer at the top of the stairs intensified. Through it, I could see something. Images, flashing too fast to process, but I caught glimpses. People, places, times. The stairs existed in multiple places, multiple moments, all at once. And I saw the others, the 7 SAR workers Gregor had told me about. They were there, at the top of the stairs, living in that shimmer between moments. They hadn't died, they'd chosen to stay, chosen to exist in that space between, watching, learning, becoming something other than human. "They're happy there," the woman said. "Free from time, from death, from all the limitations of your short lives. You could join them. You could see what we see, understand what we understand. All you have to do is climb." I looked at Jake and Martinez. They couldn't see the woman, couldn't hear her. To them, I was just staring at an empty staircase, having a conversation with myself. "Dave," Jake said carefully, "talk to us, man. What's happening?" "They want me to climb the stairs. They've been leading me to this moment, showing me each staircase like breadcrumbs, all to get me here. To the 12th one, to make me choose." "Choose what?" Martinez asked. "Whether to stay human or become whatever they are." The woman's smile widened, very perceptive. "But David, you're already changing. Don't you feel it? Every staircase you found, every person you rescued who'd been touched by our places. You've been absorbing our influence. You can see me now when others can't. You feel the pull of the stairs. You dream of us." She was right. I could feel it, a difference in how I perceived the forest, like there were layers I could almost see, spaces between the trees that weren't quite real. "If I go up, I can't come back down, can I?" "You can, but you won't want to. Once you see what's at the top, once you understand the truth of this place, returning to your limited existence would be like a butterfly choosing to become a caterpillar again. Possible, but unthinkable. And if I don't go up, then you continue as you are." Changing slowly, seeing our doors, feeling our presence. unable to ignore us but unable to join us. Eventually, the space between will drive you mad. Better to choose now, while the choice is still yours to make. I stood there, at the bottom of the 12th staircase, feeling the weight of the decision. Behind me, my team, my normal life, my human existence. Above me, answers, understanding, and a transformation into something else entirely. "Dave," Jake said, and there was fear in his voice now. "Don't even think about it. Whatever you're seeing, whatever it's showing you, it's not worth it. Come back to the truck, we'll get you out of here." But I took a step forward. Just one step onto the first stair. The world changed. The moment my foot touched that first step, time stopped. Not metaphorically, actually stopped. Jake and Martinez froze mid-motion, Jake reaching toward me, Martinez with his radio halfway to his mouth. The 4 rescued hikers sat like statues in the clearing behind them. Even the trees stopped moving, leaves suspended in mid-sway. But the woman kept moving, and so did I. "Welcome," she said, "to the between." I looked around. The forest was the same but different. Colors were more vibrant, edges sharper, and I could see things I'd never noticed before. Trails of light connecting the trees, like veins carrying something that wasn't quite blood. The air itself had texture, flowing in patterns that suggested intelligence, purpose. What is this place? The same forest you've always known. Just truer. This is what the woods look like when you peel away the skin of normal perception. Most humans never see it. They walk through it blind, unaware that every forest, every wilderness, has this layer underneath. I took another step up the stairs. With each step, the forest changed subtly. I could see deeper into the patterns, understand more of the structure. "The stairs," I said. "They're not doorways to another place. They're lenses. They let you see what's always been there." "Very good. And what do you see?" I looked closer at those light trails connecting the trees. They weren't random. They formed shapes, patterns, something like a nervous system spread across miles of forest. And at certain junction points where multiple trails met, there were nodes. Bright spots of concentrated energy. The staircases. They're the nodes. They're where the pattern is strongest. Yes, this forest, like all old forests, is alive in ways your science doesn't recognize. Conscious, aware, protecting itself. The stairs are its eyes, its way of seeing who walks through it. And sometimes, when it finds someone interesting, it studies them. I thought about all the missing people, all the ones who'd come back changed. You've been studying humans. For centuries, long before your Park Service claimed ownership, we were here, watching, learning. Most people pass through without our notice. But some like you, we mark. We show them the stairs, test them, see if they're capable of perception beyond the normal human range. Why? The woman stepped closer, and I realized she wasn't standing on the stairs. She was floating slightly above them, her feet not quite touching the wood. Because the forest needs advocates. Protectors who can see what we see, who understand that humans are not the only intelligence in these places. Every year, your species cuts deeper into the wild, builds more trails, brings more people, treats these woods like property to be managed rather than entities to be respected. So, this is about environmentalism? You're kidnapping people to make a point about deforestation. We're not kidnapping. We're selecting. Most people we study go back unchanged, their memories adjusted, no harm done. But a few, the ones like you who can see clearly, we offer a choice. Join us in protecting these places, or return to your limited existence. I took another step. Now I could see even more. I could see time itself, flowing like water around the trees, pooling in certain areas, rushing past others. The staircase was a still point in that flow, a place where time could be observed from outside. The missing people who never came back. The 7 SAR workers Gregor told me about. They chose to join you. They chose to evolve, to become something more than human. They're here now, watching this conversation, waiting to see what you decide. I looked up the staircase. At the top, in that shimmer I'd seen from the ground, I could now make out shapes. People, or what used to be people. They existed in a state between solid and not, between present and absent. 7 figures, watching me with expressions I couldn't read. What happens if I keep climbing? What do I become? What do you want to become? That's the real question, David. You're already changing. You can see me now, see this forest's true nature, see time flowing. Those aren't human abilities. They're what you're becoming, what we're helping you become. I should have been terrified, should have run back down the stairs, back to Jake and Martina's a normal human existence. But I wasn't terrified, I was fascinated, because everything she was showing me made sense in a way that normal life never had. I'd always felt disconnected from the world around me, like I was watching life happen rather than living it, like there was something more I was supposed to be seeing but couldn't quite grasp. And now, standing on these stairs, I could see it, could see the patterns, the connections, the deeper reality underlying everything. If I go back down, what happens to me? You continue changing slowly. The perception you've gained won't go away. You'll see the forest as it truly is, see time flowing, see the patterns, but you'll be trapped between worlds. Not fully human anymore, but not fully one of us either. It will drive you mad, eventually. Most who've taken a few steps but not committed have ended that way. So I either climb to the top and become something else, or go back and lose my mind. Or you could have walked away from the very first staircase and lived a normal life. But you didn't. You kept looking, kept searching, kept climbing. Every choice you made led you here. She was right. I could have ignored the stairs, could have marked them and forgotten them like the Park Service wanted. But I'd been compelled to understand, to solve the mystery, to find all 12. And now I was here, halfway up a staircase between moments, being offered a choice that wasn't really a choice at all. What would I do? If I become like you? You'd watch, protect, guide. When humans enter these woods, you'd evaluate them. The ones who deserve protection you'd help. The ones who come to harm the forest, who treat it as resource rather than entity, you'd discourage. By disappearing them? By changing them? By making them understand that they're not welcome, that these places deserve respect. Is that so terrible, David? Don't you already do that in your own way? You rescue the innocent, stop those who would harm. We're asking you to do the same thing, just on a different scale. I thought about all the missing person cases I'd worked over the years, the ones that didn't make sense, where people vanished in impossible ways or were found in conditions that defied explanation. How many of those were discouragement by the forest itself? The hikers we found today. Were they being tested? Evaluated. They came here with respect, treating the forest as sacred space. We showed them something beautiful, let them exist outside time for a few hours, and sent them back. They'll never remember, but some part of them will carry that experience. They'll protect wild places more fiercely because of it. And if they'd come with chainsaws? With development plans? Then they wouldn't have come back the same. They might have come back speaking backwards, or aged decades, or not at all. The forest protects itself, David. We're just its hands. I took another step. I was more than halfway up now, and the shimmer at the top was getting clearer. I could see through it now, see what lay beyond. It wasn't another place. It was everywhere at once. All forests, all wild places, all connected through this layer of reality that most humans couldn't perceive. If I went to the top, I wouldn't be bound to this staircase, to this forest. I'd be able to move through any wilderness, exist in all of them simultaneously, free from time, from aging, from death. A guardian of wild places, protecting them from human encroachment. It was tempting, more tempting than I wanted to admit. "Dave, don't!" Jake's voice, distant and distorted, reaching me through the frozen moment. I looked down. Time was starting to move again, slowly, like syrup. Jake and Martinez were moving in slow motion, trying to reach me, trying to pull me back. "They can't stop you," the woman said. "You're already beyond their reach. But if you go back now, if you step down, you'll bring this perception back with you. You'll see them aging in front of you. See every moment of their lives flowing past. See the forest consciousness in every tree they touch. It will be unbearable. But I'd still be human. Would you? Or would you be something caught between, unable to fully exist in either world?" I stood there torn. Behind me, my team, my human life, everything I'd been. Above me, transformation, purpose, power beyond what I'd imagined. And no way to unsee what I'd already seen, no way to go back to being the person I was before I stepped on that first stair. Then I saw something that changed everything. Down in the clearing, moving at normal speed despite time being frozen for everyone else, was a child. A little girl, maybe 8 years old, walking through the frozen SAR team, heading towards the stairs. "Who is that?" The woman's expression changed. Anger? Fear? She shouldn't be here. The child looked up at me and smiled. She was Asian, wearing modern clothes, but there was something ancient in her eyes. "Don't listen to them, David. They're not showing you the whole truth. Who are you? Someone like you. Someone who was offered the choice. But I chose differently." She started climbing the stairs from the bottom, moving fast. The woman tried to block her, but the child passed through her like she wasn't there. "She's not real," the woman said quickly. "She's a memory, an echo. Ignore her." But the child was real enough to climb the stairs. She reached my position and took my hand. Her touch was warm, solid, human. My name was Lily. I was SAR-2 40 years ago. I found 12 stairs. I climbed to the top, and I became what they wanted me to become. "So why are you warning me away?" "Because I made the wrong choice. Look at them." She pointed to the 7 figures at the top of the stairs. "They think they're protecting the forest. But really, they're prisoners. They can't leave, can't age, can't change. They exist in this frozen moment forever, watching humanity from outside, unable to participate, unable to grow. They seem happy enough. Do they?" "Look closer." I looked at the 7 figures again, really looked, and I saw what she meant. They weren't in stasis by choice, they were trapped. Frozen in the moment of their transformation, aware but unable to act beyond the forest's will. Not guardians, prisoners. "The forest doesn't want protectors," Lily said. "It wants batteries. Sources of human consciousness to fuel its awareness. Every person who climbs to the top becomes another cell in its nervous system, another set of eyes, another piece of its intelligence. You wouldn't be protecting anything. You'd be consumed." The woman's face twisted into something inhuman, something angry. "Lies. She's trying to keep you from your purpose." "If I'm lying," Lily said calmly, "then why can't she touch me? Why can't she stop me from talking to you?" Good question. The woman was powerful enough to freeze time, to show me the true nature of the forest. Why couldn't she silence one small girl? "Because I found a loophole," Lily said. "I climbed to the top, yes. But I didn't let it consume me completely. I held on to one piece of my humanity, one memory strong enough to anchor me. And over 40 years I learned to use that anchor to move between states. Neither fully human nor fully absorbed. And I've been waiting for someone else to reach 12 to warn them before they make my mistake. If you regret it so much, why can't you leave? Because I went too far up. I reached the top, but you haven't, David. You're still in between. You can still go back down." The woman screamed, a sound that wasn't quite human, and lunged at Lily. But Lily dissolved into light and reformed behind her. "Go back, David. Go back to your team. Yes, you'll see things differently now. Yes, you'll be changed. But you'll still be you. Still human. Still able to choose your own path rather than becoming a tool for something ancient and hungry. But the perception, the madness, can be managed. I'll teach you. There are others like us, people who touched the stairs and pulled back. We help each other stay grounded. It's not easy, but it's better than this." She gestured at the trapped figures above. Better than becoming a prisoner in paradise. I looked up at the top of the stairs, at the shimmer, at the 7 frozen figures. Then I looked down at Jake and Martinez, moving in slow motion, desperate to save me. And I made my choice. I stepped back down. The woman shrieked and grabbed at me, but her hands passed through me now. I wasn't fully in her realm anymore. "You'll regret this. You'll go mad. You'll see things you can't unsee." "Maybe," I said, "but I'll see them as myself, not as a piece of something else's consciousness." I descended step by step, Lily walking beside me. With each step down, time began to flow normally again. The forest's true nature faded, but didn't disappear. I could still see it, still understand it, but it no longer dominated my perception. When I reached the bottom step, Jake and Martinez caught me as I stumbled. "Dave!" "Jesus, man, you were just standing there staring at nothing for 5 minutes. We thought you'd had a stroke." 5 minutes? It had felt like hours. "You okay? You're white as a sheet." I looked back at the staircase. The woman was gone. The shimmer at the top had faded. It looked like just an ordinary staircase leading nowhere, inexplicable but not obviously threatening. But I could still see the patterns, still see the light connecting the trees, still see time flowing around us. Lily had been right. I was changed, but I was still me. "I'm okay," I said, "but we need to get out of here. Now." We hiked back with the 4 rescued hikers, and I managed to keep it together until we reached the trailhead. But as soon as we were in cell range, I texted Gregor. "I went up the stairs. Only halfway. I need your help." His response came immediately. "I know. We all do eventually. Come see me when you're ready. We." There were others. Others who'd touched the stairs and pulled back. Others who could see what I saw. I wasn't alone. That night I drove to Gregor's cabin. He was waiting on the porch with another person, a woman in her 50s. "David, this is Susan. She found 11 staircases in the 90s, climbed halfway up the 12th before she came back down." Susan offered her hand. "Welcome to the In-Between Club. Population 17 as far as we know. 17 people who saw what I saw and came back. 17 who we've found. There are probably more. We help each other manage the perception, the knowledge of what's really out there. It's not easy, but it's possible. Gregor gestured for me to sit. You made the right choice, David. I know it doesn't feel like it right now, but you did. The ones who go all the way up never come back. Not really. What about Lily, the girl who warned me? Gregor and Susan exchanged glances. How much did she tell you? Susan asked. That she climbed to the top but held on to part of her humanity. That she's been in between for 40 years. Lily's special, Gregor said carefully. She's the only one who made it to the top and retained enough independence to move freely. Most people who climb that high are absorbed completely, but Lily was strong-willed and young enough that her sense of self was still forming. She found a way to resist. Now she watches the stairs and warns people when she can. Where is she? Everywhere the stairs are. She exists in that in-between state permanently. It's lonely, from what she's told us, but she considers it her duty, her way of making up for her mistake. I thought about that. 40 years existing between human and other, watching, warning, unable to fully return to either state. It sounded like its own kind of hell. Will I end up like her? No, Susan said firmly. You came back soon enough. You'll always see more than normal people. Always be aware of the forest consciousness. But you're still grounded in humanity. You can have a normal life. We all do. We just know things other people don't. Over the next few weeks, I learned what that meant. I continued my SAR work, but now I could sense when someone was truly lost versus when they'd been selected by the forest. I could feel the patterns in the wilderness, understand where to search, where to avoid. I became better at my job, but the cost was constant awareness of things most people never see. The forest watching, the stairs waiting, the consciousness underlying every wild place. And sometimes, when I was alone on a trail, I'd see Lily. She'd wave from a distance, making sure I was okay, then disappear. A ghost caught between worlds, forever warning others not to make her mistake. The 12th staircase disappeared a week after my encounter. When I went back to market for removal, it was gone. Just empty forest where it had stood. But I knew it would appear somewhere else for someone else. The stairs were always there, waiting for the next person to find 12. I never went looking for them again. I'd seen what I needed to see, learned what I needed to learn. And I'd chosen to stay human, flawed and limited as that was. It was the right choice, I'm sure of it, most days. 5 years have passed since I climbed halfway up the 12th staircase. 5 years of living with perception that most humans don't have. Seeing things they can't see. Understanding that the forests we walk through are conscious, aware, and watching. I'm still with Olympic National Park SAR, still rescuing lost hikers, still finding people who've wandered too far from trails. But now I do it with knowledge that changes everything. I can feel when someone has been selected by the forest. There's a particular quality to their disappearance, a pattern I can sense even before we start searching. Those cases I approach differently, more carefully. Because I know we're not just looking for a lost person. We're retrieving someone the forest has chosen to study. The other SAR members think I've developed an uncanny intuition. They joke that I have a sixth sense for finding people. They're not entirely wrong, though they don't understand what that sense really is. I see the forest's nervous system, the patterns of light connecting every tree, every plant, every living thing. And when a human enters that system, they create a disturbance, a ripple I can follow. Most people pass through, leaving barely a trace. But some, the ones the forest is interested in, they create larger ripples. And I can track those. It makes me invaluable to the team. My success rate for finding missing persons went from 70% to nearly 95%. But it comes at a cost. I can't unsee what I've seen. Can't unknow what I've learned. Every forest I enter, I feel its awareness. Some are more conscious than others. Some are ancient and powerful, like Olympic. Others are young, barely aware of themselves. But they're all alive in ways that science doesn't acknowledge. And sometimes they speak to me, not in words exactly. In feelings, impressions, images that appear in my mind when I'm deep in the woods. The forest showing me where to search, guiding me to lost souls, sometimes warning me away from areas where its consciousness is strongest. Gregor and the others in our in-between club taught me how to manage this, how to ground myself in humanity when the perception gets overwhelming, how to remember that I'm still human, still Dave Chadwick, still a person with a life beyond the forests. But it's a daily struggle. Every day I have to choose to stay human, choose not to go back to the stairs, choose not to let the perception consume me, because I still see the staircases. Dozens of them, hundreds maybe, scattered across every wilderness area I visit. They appear and disappear, moving according to patterns I don't fully understand, and I always know where they are, can always feel their pull. The woman appears sometimes, the entity who tried to convince me to climb to the top. She stands at the edge of my vision, just out of clear sight, waiting, hoping I'll change my mind, hoping I'll come back to finish what I started. I never do, but it's tempting. God, it's tempting. Because life as an in-between is hard. You exist with one foot in the normal world and one in something stranger. You form relationships with people who can't understand what you see, what you know. You try to explain the patterns you perceive and watch them look at you like you're crazy. I've lost 2 relationships in 5 years because of it. Women I cared about, who cared about me, but who couldn't handle my obsession with the forests, my need to spend time in the wilderness, my strange behavior when we went hiking together. You're somewhere else, my last girlfriend told me before she left. Even when you're with me, you're listening to something I can't hear. It's like dating a ghost. She wasn't wrong, but I've also saved lives that wouldn't have been saved otherwise. I've found people in impossible places guided by the forest itself. I've prevented deaths by sensing when someone was in danger before any alarm was raised. In August 2020, a 10-year-old boy wandered away from his family's campsite. Standard search and rescue case. But when I arrived at the scene, I immediately felt something different. The forest was agitated, its patterns disrupted in a way I'd never sensed before. He's in danger, I told the team. Real danger. Not just lost. Something's wrong. They trusted my intuition by then. We organized a rapid response and I followed the patterns, tracking the boy through terrain that should have been impossible for a 10-year-old to navigate. I found him at the edge of a cliff, standing perfectly still, eyes focused on something in the distance. He was 1 step away from a 70-foot drop. "Tyler? Don't move, buddy. Stay right there." He didn't respond. Didn't even seem to hear me. I approached carefully, and as I got closer I saw what he was staring at. A staircase 10 feet away, floating in mid-air over the canyon. The forest was showing him the stairs, calling him, and he was about to walk right off the cliff, trying to reach them. I grabbed him and pulled him back just as he took that fatal step. He blinked, suddenly aware of where he was, and started crying. "There were stairs," he sobbed. "I wanted to see where they went." "I know, buddy. I know." We got him back to his family, and they were grateful, tearful, thinking it was just a miracle that I'd found him in time. But I knew the truth. The forest had been testing Tyler, and if I hadn't been there, if I hadn't been able to see what he was seeing, he would have died trying to climb stairs that weren't really there. That's what I do now. I stand between the forest and the people who don't understand it. I protect both sides from each other. Sometimes I find people who've been changed by the stairs, who climbed a few steps and came back different. I can recognize them immediately. They have the same look in their eyes that I see in mirrors, the look of someone who's seen too much. I collect their names, their contact information. I introduce them to Gregor and Susan and the others. We help them adjust, help them manage the perception, help them stay grounded in humanity. Our club has grown from 17 to 34 in 5 years. More people are finding the stairs. More are choosing to climb. More are pulling back before it's too late. We support each other, share coping strategies, warn each other when the pull gets too strong. Because it does get stronger. Every year, I feel the stairs calling me more intensely, reminding me that I never finished what I started, that I climbed halfway up number 12 but never reached the top, that I could still complete the transformation if I wanted. Lily visits me regularly now. She's become something like a friend, though she's more memory than person. She tells me about the others she's warned over the decades, the ones who listened and the ones who didn't. "You're one of the strong ones," she told me last month. Most people don't last 5 years in between. They either go back up the stairs or they shut down completely, convince themselves they imagined everything. How do you know I won't go back up? Because you're like me. You understand the cost of both choices. Climbing up means losing yourself. Staying down means living with constant awareness of what you're missing. Neither option is easy, but you've chosen the harder path. That takes strength. Or stupidity. She smiled. Sometimes they're the same thing. Last week, I found the 13th staircase. I wasn't looking for it. Was just hiking alone on a day off, trying to clear my head. But there it was. In a clearing I'd passed 100 times before. A new staircase, or maybe an old one newly visible to me. I stood at the bottom, feeling that familiar pull. Stronger than ever. Almost irresistible. "You knew this would happen," the woman said, appearing beside the stairs. "You didn't finish. You can't just walk away. The 12 will always call you to find the 13th. I thought 12 was the completion, the choice. 12 is the invitation. 13 is the confirmation. Climb these stairs and you complete what you started. Or walk away now, and the pull will get stronger every year until you can't resist anymore." You're saying I have to climb? I'm saying you will climb. Eventually. Whether it's today or 10 years from now, you'll come back to the stairs. Everyone does. I wanted to argue, wanted to believe I was strong enough to resist forever. But she was probably right. I'd felt the pull increasing, felt my perception sharpening, my humanity fading slightly each year. How long before I couldn't maintain the balance? How long before in between became unbearable? I took one step onto the 13th staircase. The world shifted, just like before. Time slowed. The forest's true nature blazed into clarity, and I saw them all. Every person who'd ever climbed to the top. Thousands of them, spread across centuries, all existing in that shimmer at the top of every staircase. They weren't just in Olympic, they were everywhere. Every forest, every wilderness, every place humans called nature. All connected, all conscious, all staffed by humans who'd chosen transformation over limitation. "Join us, David," they said in unison. "Complete the journey. Become what you were meant to be." And I wanted to, God, I wanted to, because from this perspective, I could see how small and limited human existence was, how much more there was to experience, to understand, to be. But then I saw something that stopped me. Down in the normal world, moving at regular speed despite time being frozen, was Jake, my partner, my friend, searching the forest with the rest of the SAR team. Looking for me, because I'd been gone too long and they were worried. He couldn't see me. Couldn't see the staircase. Couldn't understand where I was or why. But he was out here anyway, looking for me, refusing to give up. That's what humanity meant. Connection, loyalty, love that existed even when it didn't make sense, even when it wasn't rewarded. Jake didn't know about the stairs, didn't understand what I saw, couldn't comprehend my struggle. But he cared anyway. If I climbed to the top, I'd lose that. I'd understand everything about the forest, but I'd stop understanding Jake. Stop understanding any human. I'd be absorbed into something vast and ancient, and all my human connections would become meaningless. I stepped back down. "I'm not ready," I told the woman. "Maybe I never will be. But not today. The 14th will appear," she said, "and the 15th. They'll keep appearing until you climb one all the way up. Then I'll keep stepping back down." She studied me with those inhuman eyes. "You're the first person to refuse the 13th. Most who make it this far can't resist. You're stronger than I thought, or more stubborn, both probably." I descended the rest of the way and found Jake at the bottom of the trail, radioing for more searchers. "Jake!" He spun around, relief flooding his face. "Dave, where the hell were you? We've been searching for 2 hours. Sorry, lost track of time. Got distracted by..." I gestured vaguely at the forest. "By what?" "Nothing. Just trees." He looked at me strangely but didn't push. He'd learned not to ask too many questions about my odd behavior in the woods. That night, I called an emergency meeting of the In-Between Club. 34 people gathered on a video call, all of us with the same haunted look, all of us carrying the weight of incomplete transformation. "I found the 13th staircase," I told them, "and the woman said more will keep appearing, that we'll keep being tested until we give in." Silence on the call. Then Susan spoke up. "I found my 14th last year, my 20th 3 months ago. They don't stop, David. The forest is patient. It'll keep offering the choice until we take it." "So what do we do?" someone asked. Gregor answered. "What we've always done. We help each other stay human. We remind each other why we chose to come back down. We support each other when the pull gets too strong, and we use our perception to protect people who don't understand what's out there." "Is that enough?" I asked. "Can we really maintain this balance forever?" "I don't know," Gregor admitted. "I've been in between for 42 years. Some days are harder than others. But I'm still here, still human, still choosing to be on this side of the stairs. That has to count for something." We talked for hours, sharing strategies, offering support, reminding each other that we weren't alone. By the time the call ended, I felt slightly better. Not confident that I could resist forever, but confident that I could resist today. And maybe that's all anyone can do. Choose today to stay human. Tomorrow, choose again. Day by day, step by step, maintaining the balance between what we've seen and what we want to remain. I still work SAR, still find lost people, still see the staircases appearing and disappearing through the wilderness. I've found 18 now. 18 invitations to finish what I started. I've declined them all. The pull is stronger every year. The temptation to climb, to transform, to understand everything grows harder to resist. Some days, I stand at the bottom of a staircase for hours, arguing with myself about whether to take that first step. But I always walk away, because I choose connection over understanding, choose love over transcendence, choose to remain flawed, limited, human. Lily tells me I'm fighting a losing battle, that eventually, everyone who reaches this point either climbs the rest of the way up or goes mad from existing between worlds. Maybe she's right. Maybe I'm just delaying the inevitable. But I made a promise to myself 5 years ago, standing halfway up that 12th staircase. I promised that if I came back down, I'd stay down. I'd live as human, die as human, and never let the forest consume me. I intend to keep that promise, no matter how many staircases appear, no matter how strong the pull becomes, no matter how tempting transcendence looks. I'm Dave Chadwick. I'm a search and rescue professional. I save people who get lost in places they don't understand. And I stay human doing it. That's my choice. Every single day, that's my choice. And until the day I can't make that choice anymore, until the pull becomes truly irresistible, I'll keep making it. Because someone has to stand between the forest and the people who don't see what I see. Someone has to protect both sides from each other. And apparently, that someone is me. I've made my peace with that. Most days. The staircases are still out there, still appearing, still waiting. If you hike an Olympic National Forest or any old forest and you see a staircase that doesn't belong, that's too perfect. That's calling to you in a way you can't explain. Don't climb it. Mark it. Report it. Walk away. Because once you start climbing, even just a few steps, you'll never fully come back down. Trust me. I know. I'm living proof that you can exist between worlds, but it comes at a cost that most people wouldn't willingly pay. 3 months ago, something changed. I was leading a routine search for a missing hiker when I found him sitting at the base of a staircase. The 23rd staircase I'd encountered. He was just sitting there, staring up at it, tears streaming down his face. "I can't do it," he was saying. "I want to, but I can't." "Sir, are you injured?" He looked at me, and I saw it immediately. He had the sight. He could see what I saw. "You're one of us," he said. "You've been up the stairs." Halfway. On the 12th one, 5 years ago. I went all the way up, 3 days ago. I thought I could handle it, thought I was strong enough to see everything and come back down unchanged. He laughed bitterly. I was wrong. I sat down beside him. "What did you see?" Everything. The forest consciousness, the network connecting all wild places, the humans who'd been absorbed and were now part of it. I saw time itself, saw how small we are, how temporary. It was beautiful and terrible, and I couldn't bear it. So I came back down. That takes courage. Does it? Because I feel like I'm dying. Every second I'm back in this limited body, in this narrow perception, it's agony. It's like being squeezed into a box that's too small after experiencing infinite space. I knew exactly what he meant. Even having gone only halfway, I felt that compression every day. I couldn't imagine how much worse it would be for someone who'd reached the top. "How long have you been sitting here?" "Since I came down, 3 days. I keep thinking I should go back up. Just climb those stairs one more time and stay there. But I'm afraid of losing myself completely, afraid of becoming just another node in the forest's network." "There's a group," I told him. "People like us. We help each other stay grounded. Would you like to meet them?" He looked at me with such desperate hope that it broke my heart. "You mean I'm not alone?" "You're not alone." His name was Peter. He was the first person I'd met who'd gone all the way up and come back down. Over the next few weeks, as I introduced him to the In-Between Club, I learned his story. Peter had been a park ranger, had found staircases for years without understanding what they were. When he finally found his 12th, he'd climbed it without hesitation. Reached the top, merged completely with the forest consciousness. For 3 days of Earth time, which he experienced as 3 years, he existed as part of that vast network. He could see through every tree, feel through every root, understand the thoughts of every creature in the forest. He was no longer Peter. He was part of something much larger. But a tiny piece of him, some core of his identity, refused to be absorbed. That piece screamed and fought and clawed its way back to individuality, and eventually, impossibly, it won. He climbed back down the stairs, reformed his human body, returned to human consciousness, and now he was trapped in a perception so limited, so constrained compared to what he'd experienced, that every moment was torture. "I don't know how long I can do this," he told the group during his first meeting. "I don't know how you've all lasted years. I can barely make it through a day." "It gets easier," Susan lied. "Give it time." But I could see in her eyes that she wasn't sure. None of us had been to the top and come back. Peter was charting new territory, and we didn't know if he could survive it. He lasted 2 months. I got the call on a Tuesday morning. Peter had gone hiking alone. His car was found at a trailhead, and at the end of a trail at the base of a staircase, they found his clothes neatly folded, his wallet and keys placed on top. But no Peter. I knew what had happened. He'd gone back up. Chosen transcendence over the agony of limited existence. Climbed those stairs and let himself be absorbed completely this time, giving up his humanity because being human had become unbearable. I was the one who collected his belongings, and as I stood at the base of that staircase, I felt something I'd never felt before. Envy. Peter had made his choice. He'd escaped the in-between. He was either truly dead or truly transformed. But either way, he wasn't suffering anymore. Wasn't fighting the daily battle to stay human. Wasn't resisting the pull of the stairs year after year. He'd found peace, one way or another, and I envied him for it. That night, I drove out to a remote trailhead, hiked until I found a staircase, the 25th I'd encountered, and I stood there for 4 hours. Just stood there, staring up at those steps, feeling the pull, considering. Would it really be so bad? To let go, to stop fighting, to climb to the top and merge with something vast and eternal? I was so tired. 5 years of living in between had worn me down more than I'd admitted to anyone. The constant perception of the forest consciousness, the awareness of patterns most humans couldn't see, the knowledge that I was fundamentally different from everyone around me. It was exhausting. How much longer could I maintain this balance? How many more years could I resist? And what was the point of resisting? To stay human, to preserve a life that increasingly felt like a prison. I put my foot on the first step. Dave. Lily's voice. I turned, and there she was, flickering in and out of visibility, caught between states as always. "Don't," she said simply. "Why not?" Peter did it. Maybe he had the right idea. Peter went all the way up first. He knew what he was getting into when he went back. You don't. You've only seen halfway. You don't understand what you'd be giving up. I'd be giving up this. I gestured at myself, at my human body, at the limited perception that felt so constraining. Maybe that's not such a loss. It is. Trust me, I've been up there. I've merged with the forest consciousness. I know what it's like, and I'm telling you, Dave, being human is better. Being limited is better, because limitation is what makes experience meaningful. When you can see everything, feel everything, be everywhere at once, nothing matters anymore. It's all just information, no emotion, no connection, no love. I'm so tired, Lily. I know. We all are. But you're strong enough to carry it. I've watched you for 5 years. You're one of the few who can maintain the balance long term. Peter couldn't. Peter went too far. You haven't. You stopped at halfway, And that makes all the difference. You can still pull back from the edge when you need to. Peter lost that ability. I stood there with my foot on that first step, torn between human exhaustion and the promise of transcendent peace. "How do you do it?" I asked. "How have you maintained yourself for 40 years, caught between human and other?" I remember why I came back down. Every day, I remember, I had a sister. She died in a car accident 2 years after I went up the stairs. I couldn't attend her funeral because I wasn't fully human anymore. Couldn't comfort my parents. Couldn't grieve properly because I was too close to the forest consciousness. That moment, when I couldn't be there for my family, I realized what I'd lost. And I decided I'd rather feel human pain than eternal peace. She flickered closer, more solid than I'd ever seen her. "You still have people, Dave. Jake, Gregor, Susan, the others in the group. They need you. Not the transcendent version of you. Not the all-knowing forest guardian. They need human Dave, the one who makes jokes to break tension, the one who remembers their birthdays, the one who exists in time and space like they do. What if that's not enough? What if I can't keep doing this? Then we'll help you. That's what the group is for. That's why Gregor formed it 40 years ago, because none of us can do this alone." I took my foot off the step. Lily smiled, and for just a moment she looked almost human, almost like the girl she'd been before she climbed those stairs. "Good choice. Now go home. Call Jake. Do something normal. Remind yourself what being human feels like." I did what she suggested, drove home, called Jake, met him for beers. Didn't talk about the stairs or the forest or any of it. Just talked about normal things, sports, movies, his kids, my failed attempts at dating. And it helped, not completely. The pull was still there, stronger than ever, but I made it through another day human. That's how it goes now. Day by day. Choice by choice. Sometimes hour by hour. I found 32 staircases. The pull is almost overwhelming. Most nights I dream about climbing them. Most days I feel the forest calling me, inviting me to finish what I started, but I keep choosing to stay human. Keep choosing connection over transcendence. Keep choosing to be limited, flawed, temporary, because Lily was right. Limitation is what makes life meaningful. If I could see everything, feel everything, be everywhere, then nothing would matter. The brief moments of joy, the connections with others, the small victories and devastating losses, they only mean something because they're temporary, because they're experienced from a limited perspective. I'm Dave Chadwick. I'm 43 years old. I've been an in-between for 5 years, and I'll probably be one for the rest of my life. However long that is. The staircases will keep appearing, the forest will keep calling, the pull will keep getting stronger, and I'll keep resisting. Not because I'm strong, not because I'm special, but because I choose to be human, with all its limitations and pain and temporary beauty. That's my story. That's my warning. That's my truth. If you find a staircase in the woods, walk away. Don't touch it. Don't climb it. Don't even look at it too long, because once you see what's at the top, once you understand what's being offered, resisting it becomes the hardest thing you'll ever do. I'm living proof of that. And I'm still here. Still human, still fighting, one day at a time, one choice at a time, one step away from those stairs, every single day.